Hey guys, so I just saw Alien Romulus. I liked it, 8 out of 10. Really good as a follow-up to where Aliens is as a movie franchise right now. But I do have some thoughts, and they're kind of spoilery. So this is like your only spoiler warning. You don't want spoilers, just don't watch this video. Okay, so first off, this movie, not a reboot, not a requel. It is set after Alien, the original. Probably between Alien 1 and 2. But it doesn't erase what comes after. It doesn't erase Alien 3. It doesn't erase Alien Resurrection. And it doesn't retcon Prometheus or Alien Covenant, which I'm personally very happy about because I'm a bit of a Prometheus apologist. It's not a perfect movie, but I like what it does. It has some good imagery. And again, spoilers. This movie does follow up on what was going on in Prometheus and Covenant, but not quite like, it's not like the sequel to Covenant or anything. It's like Ridley Scott was a producer on this movie, so there's a good chance that he was like, hey guys, I know I'm not going to get to finish my trilogy, so can we just throw a couple things in here, just, tie up the loose ends? And I'm sure they were like, sure, Mr. Scott, we'll throw you a bone. You're paying for this, so why not? But personally, that just makes me happy that Prometheus is included, and I'm glad to see it paid off. But I'm not exactly happy with how it was incorporated. Okay, so here's where we have to get into spoilers, big end of the movie spoilers. So again, you don't want spoilers, don't watch this. Okay, so the goo from Prometheus comes back as a sort of cure-all, elixir, regenerative medicine type thing. It's a good premise, but there's a downside that's shown to the audience but not the characters. That's dramatic irony. It is shown that, like in Prometheus, ingesting this goo causes your body to mutate and expunge new life. So the female lead from Prometheus, when she was impregnated by her husband after he was infected with the goo, without his knowledge, she rapidly gave birth to the Deacon, which is the prototype xenomorph, or rather the prototype face hugger. Man, Prometheus is complicated. Anyway, so that happens in this movie. One of the characters gets seriously injured, and she's pregnant, because of course she is. That was mean, I'm sorry. But, okay, so one of the characters is injured. In order to save her own life, she injects herself with the goo, which does cure her and does allow her to help out the two remaining cast members. But it's a time bomb. It's a Chekhov's gun. It's Chekhov's goo. There's a scene where her baby, inside of her, mutates, and she gives birth to a mutant xenomorph human hybrid thing. And that's the last 20 minutes of the movie is the last two characters having to deal with this as they're trying to make their great getaway. To compare it to the first Aliens, it's when Ripley and what was the cat's name, Goose, when they're in the escape craft from the Nostromo and the alien got on board with them. This is the equivalent of that for this movie, and I don't really like it. Okay, so it's there's two reasons. There's a functional reason I don't like it, and then there's just a meta narrative reason I don't like it, or maybe they're both meta narrative reasons. Okay, the reason I don't like it is because, first off, the threat of this thing is that it could kill our main characters. That's the threat. It's the last obstacle to escape. So it gives this movie the problem of having two climaxes. There's the climax where the characters escape the main ship to get into the ship that's supposed to be their escape vessel. And then they're in the escape vessel, and they have to spend 20 minutes dealing with this new threat, which, was set up. The seeds were planted, but it's like, it's just that feeling of like, really, the movie's still going. Like, you think that, like, okay, this is going to be set up for, like, a mid-credit stinger or, like, a sequel, right? Like, they get where they're trying to escape to, which is, like, this perfect planet. Don't worry about it. And it would be like, oh, okay, they get there, she gives birth, and, like, that's the threat for the next movie. But that's not the direction they went. And I think that the pacing of the movie suffers for it. I'm not saying it makes the movie unwatchable or anything, but it does kind of, I don't know, you have to buy in that these, like, last couple of characters can die for this tension to hold. And, depending on who you want, and, like, I'm spoiling the movie for you, they don't die, but, like, whether or not that tension holds for you, like, as you're watching, will affect, I think, how much you enjoy this, like, second climax. But, like, for me, and it's not so much that, like, the threat of the thing wasn't real. Like, I believe this thing was dangerous and could kill people. I think it, like, rips one of the characters' head off or something. But the issue that I have with it is, like, okay, the idea on paper makes sense, right? Like, you've already used the xenomorph extensively throughout this movie. You've already had your big scary movie monster trapezing around, and since this is, like, your grand finale, you want to up the stakes. You want something the audience isn't expecting and isn't necessarily prepared for. But I don't think this was the right choice. The problem is that, like, everything that makes the alien scary, like, visually at least, is not present in this thing, because this thing relies on its uncanny factor. It relies on being scary because the recognizable human parts of it are distorted, when the xenomorph is scary because it has no recognizable human parts. The parts of a human that we use to communicate with each other, that we use to recognize with each other, that we use, like, sense each other's emotions and intentions, the xenomorph doesn't have that, which is why which is, in my opinion, what makes the xenomorph scary. So, a big, gray, fleshy, human-looking thing that's half xenomorph, half human, doesn't work. At least not in the context of this movie, because it's immediately contrasting with, what I just told you. So it creates this dichotomy that just, I think, works against the xenomorph. Or, like, whatever the heck it's going to be called, like, on wikis and such. So, yeah, so I guess that's both of my problems with it. The second problem is, like, so it is a really cool set piece. They're on a planet that has rings, and their ship is, like, headed towards the rings of the planet. Again, it's another, like, ticking time bomb. And, like, the rings are going to shred their ship to pieces. There is no escaping that if they get caught in it. And this thing is keeping them from getting away because they're undercrewed, because most of their crew died exploring the bigger ship. And there's only, like, 2 of them left at this point. So, there is tension. But, like, the problem is, at least to me, the problem is this would feel more important if there were just a little bit higher stakes. Like, okay, like, the setup that we're given is the escape ship they're on is going to go back to the colony that they're from, a colony that's full of people. And if this thing got down there, if that was, like, a risk that we had to deal with, maybe, like, they were on their way down and they had to deal with this thing rather than being in orbit around these rings with the threat of shredding. Like, it would be, I don't know, there'd be more tension, because it's like, if this thing gets down there to this colony, like, it's just gonna fucking kill everybody. But that's not the setup they went for. They went for more personal stakes, And it's just like at this point of the movie, like they don't really have my attention anymore. I'm not really invested on what's going on screen because I just think, I don't know, I think they took like too many risks too fast. I think that's the problem. Like, that's just a me thing. And, you know, I'm sure it'll be different for other people watching this movie. So, yeah, that's Alien Romulus. Again, I thought it was pretty good, 8 out of 10. I think it's worthy as, like, an Alien follow-up. I think it's a little bit too long, and I think the climax wasn't properly, not set up, that's not the right word, paid off? I don't know. I think the execution of the last act was not handled the best. But, you know, I'm just happy that Alien's back in the way it is. You know, I hope that this creative team goes on to, like, do more, like, either with this franchise or without. I saw that, like, there's a teaser when you go to see this movie for a TV show called Alien Earth, which that'll be interesting. And I do want to talk more about Alien because it's a very fascinating franchise. And, like, there's a bit of continuity that I think is actually kind of interesting that I want to talk about. But for now, you know, that's my thoughts. If you have seen it, what do you think about it? If you haven't seen it, you know, after my rant, do you want to? And, you know, just see you guys later. See ya.